Just back from IT Nation Secure 2025 and right outside of Orlando. It was a great event. Many vendors, many MSPs just focused on security. The keynote kicked off and there was 4 people up on stage, a panel, and they were from different companies, not just ConnectWise. ConnectWise is trying to make this community, not just what they offer, but with others as well. But the vendor hall was full. There was lots of great vendors. I was able to have 16 conversations with great guests right there at the resort. I had great guests, great guests. First started with Gene Templin, MSP Sales Reimagined. Gene's in the Pitch It program, the new ConnectWise. It's not new, but new for this year. Incubator program. Jamie Williams, my friend from a long time ago, marketing before sales. MSPs, are you listening? Oh, Ricardo from Lumu. Yes, my fellow aviator. I've known Ricardo for a couple of years now, and great conversation. Ricardo. Oh, Rayanne, of course, Rayanne from ABC. The name of the episode is From Cables to Closing. Fascinating backstory to Rayanne and what she does now, also in the Pitch It program. Mike Estep from Blackpoint Cyber. Great story from MSP to vendor now. Blackpoint's a great security company, and it was a great conversation with Mike. Mark Balanov, first time I met Mark, really great conversation. Really enjoyed it. Talking about cyber lessons. David Chernitsky, fascinating background from Russia to Israel to Canada to what he knows about the martial arts and everything he learned from the best people in cybersecurity there in Israel. Great conversation. David, Matt Holland, first time I met Matt, great conversation from Spy Tech to MSP Simplicity. Tanner Cookson, fascinating from great company. MSPs getting paid quickly. We talked about rowing, riding, and revenue. Tim Weber, cybersecurity firm now. He's a volunteer firefighter in Connecticut, my home state. Joel Cahill, great conversation with Joel. I've known Joel for quite a while now. First time we ever sat and talked like this. The episode's Cold Plunges, Hot Takes, and Cyber Strategy. But great conversation with Joel. Paul Lupo from Bitdefender. Paul's been around for quite a while, and he has great stories and great insight on the great company that Bitdefender is. David Rasapor from ConnectWise, new CPO. Wonderful insights from David, his background in Iran, and David is just a true engineer. Ozzy Saeed from Compliance, he actually helped write the specs to CMMC. Fascinating conversation with Ozzy and the saltwater fish tanks as well, one of his great hobbies. Sarvash Rao, of course, I've known Sarvash for a couple of months now, really focusing on MSPs, helping those SMBs with his with the security platform. And of course, ended with Matthew Benazari. Great conversation about, started with climbing. He's a great climber, about cyber fires and MSP fortitude there at Arete, and great conversation. Thanks all for being part of this, and thanks everyone for listening and watching.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
So what is it about hiking?
Hiking?
Yeah, why do you like it?
Every time we go out on a trip, I always plan those trips around some place where I can go and just hike and be in nature and be away, right? Like, and the higher up, is that better? Okay, and so the higher up on a mountain, or Bryce Canyon, I want to say, was one of my favorites. Like, we went down into the, what do they call that? The auditorium.
Do they?
And
it's been a while.
And so you walk all the way through, and it was a 4-hour hike.
Whoa.
And it wasn't hard. It wasn't, it was just long and beautiful. Oh my gosh. so beautiful. Bryce Canyon was one of my favorites.
It's gorgeous. The whole Utah, it was unbelievable. Bryce is beautiful. Zion is actually in the canyon looking out.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, we did
glorious.
that too. we had to walk through like this to get to the slots, or what was it? The Narrows.
The Narrows, yeah.
And you had to like go through, I don't know, a mile of water to get there. And so we did the slot canyons, and it's just so beautiful out there. And I want to go back because I want to do more.
Right.
Like I know that there are so many other beautiful things out there. Just Utah was amazing.
It is. Did you kayak there as well?
We did not kayak there. My kayaking is, well, I'll get into a kayak anytime I get a chance.
That's it.
But I live in Clearwater, Florida, so we
Yes.
have a lot of kayaking and opportunities there. That's how I get out and get some exercise and just be with the sun.
Yeah, Clearwater is beautiful for that. I always see kayakers out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, because we have rivers. We've got, we've got
Like the intercoastal?
intercoastal waters. If you really want to build some muscle,
Yes.
do
that.
Go straight across that boat channel. You'll build a few muscles.
Yeah. You get scared a little bit. Yeah. So we're here in Orlando. It's ConnectWise, IT Nation, Secure. What are some of your goals here, Rayanne?
So this is my first IT Nation event ever, right?
Really?
So So I got my noob
First timer.
flair, right? So I'm a total noob. I've been in the IT community for almost 20 years.
Yeah, you've been around for quite a while.
And I don't know why I've not been to an IT Nation ConnectWise event prior to now.
Yes.
But we joined this Pitch It event, and and I thought, well, I've been wanting to really break into the ConnectWise community because I think it's a completely different ecosystem, and this was a perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I haven't missed an IT Nation, what they now call Connect, since 2007.
Oh my goodness!
So there was 200 of us in Tampa, and now there's 7,000. Here in Orlando in November. Yeah, it's quite a great community. And I was part of Evolve. Were you ever an MSP?
I was.
Ah.
And so, ABC Solutions started with accounting, business, and computing solutions. My idea at the time was take my accounting knowledge, my business knowledge, and my IT knowledge and have a complete solution for small businesses.
Great.
And then after a while, I was still a one-person shop, right? So I'm fishing cables through ceilings in the morning, and I'm doing tax returns in the afternoon.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, something's got to give. And I was running the SBS user group in Tampa Bay at the time, and I started helping some of my other user group people with their accounting of their QuickBooks, and then this light bulb went off. So I sold my local tax practice, and I started focusing on the IT community solely, probably by around 2011.
Huh.
And I've been building that ever since. And we started with accounting and tax, and then we went on to bookkeeping, and then we went on to PSA consulting, and then we went on to invoicing, and so now here in Pitch It, we are building a procurement, a quote to cash procurement service, where we are going to manage. We'll pull the opportunity from PSA, and we'll prepare the quotes, send it back to the MSP for approval with their branding, their logos, and then send it off to the customer. When it gets approved, we'll do the deal reg with the vendor. We'll manage the purchase order, send it all back to the opportunity in PSA, and all at no cost to the MSP, because we're going to build in the procurement fee right into the quote the customer's going to pay us, not the MSP.
So in 2011, Rayanne, you said you sold the MSP portion?
I sold my tax practice.
Oh, so you're not doing any more taxes?
No, that's not true. I do taxes for MSPs, but I sold my local accounting practice.
I see.
So, and that's what started my Sell My MSP idea because I used a firm called Accounting Practice Sales, and I thought, this is a company that focuses solely on selling accounting practices. Who's doing that in the MSP world, in the IT community? So, another light bulb. I'm one of those serial entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You cannot turn that
Right,
off.
right.
So I got this idea for yet another business, and we started Sell My MSP, helping exit planning, exit strategy, and then helping to negotiate through the entire M&A process.
Well, how do you like working with MSPs? I mean, you know them so well, obviously.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I have a real passion for the IT community. I actually have a story if you're at all interested.
Please.
So way back in the beginning of my career, I was in a server room at 1 o'clock in the morning. The server had gone down. It was so stupid. I was trying to solve a problem on the hard drive. Anyway, I ended up taking the entire server down simply by uninstalling Norton antivirus. I'll never forget it. And so
Whoa.
it brought the server down. 6 hours later, I'm still in that server room. I'm supposed to be on a plane at 7 o'clock the next morning. And I reached out to the Yahoo group, SBS2K, which was a thing back then because it's the middle of the night. And some Australian responded
Whoa.
in the middle of the night. Now, did he help me fix that server? No. But what he did was he kept me calm. He talked me off the ledge until Microsoft called me to get this machine back online. And I want to say that it was that moment that I was like, okay, this is a community that helps
Wow.
each other. And so I've been an active proponent to that ever since.
And do you ever work with the MSPs clients or only the MSPs?
I will help their clients if they ask, and I'll always clarify, am I acting as an extension of you,
Right.
or are you making an introduction and you want us to work with them directly? Like, I will never take that step without their permission.
Interesting. And has the MSP changed over the last 20 years?
I would say the concept or the work that they do has changed, right? So, way back, I'm going to say around 2006, 2007, 8, 9, whatever, the concept of the managed service was still new.
Right.
And then that started to evolve. And then security became such a huge issue. And so that broke off to MSSP.
Huh.
So, and people started to specialize. And I want to say the thing, if anything really changed about them, Joe, they know they need to focus better. They have to focus and specialize. In the days of the general IT, the general IT person, they're probably fading. Although there's probably always going to be a market for them to the smaller or the small businesses. There's probably always going to be a market for the generalist. But the ones who focus and really, hone their skills in a particular area, those are the ones who are going to flourish.
Yeah, I think that is the case. It is interesting that it's tough to be an MSP now. I mean, security is just so pervasive. They have to really, really guard.
And I was watching the keynote yesterday, and the one thing that they said, I think that is probably my number one takeaway, is that one person has to be in charge of security. Like at every MSP, who is that guy or gal?
Yes.
Who is the person that is going to be in charge of the security for the company? If there's an incident, who's the person that's going to manage the response and manage the containment of it? Like, that key role is so important.
So you're part of the Pitch It program.
I am.
So what's it like? I mean, you're a service business, but you're becoming a platform.
Yes.
How's that transition?
Well, for a service person who doesn't have the first clue as to how to develop this stuff. It's challenging, but I love this stuff. Like, being a former MSP, techie kind of person, it's in my nature to pick up a book and okay, let's rip this thing apart and see how I can build this from the ground up. And I've never really been known as a vendor in this space, I'm always one of the MSPs. And I'm just like everybody else here. And it seems I'm trying to wear the vendor hat and see how that fits. Yeah. But I really enjoy, all of the people, and the vendors are so great to, to work with. When I was on a speaking circuit, with a couple of other events, I got to know a lot of the vendors, seeing them month after month at the different events. And so it's really just a great community, all of it.
But making that transition is difficult. But you're still going to have the service practice, but you're also making this platform. Correct.
Well, our platform is the service because there are humans behind each level of it. So this is not an automated, system. Like, there's an actual human being doing the deal registrations with the vendors. There's an actual human being following up on those purchase orders that we're creating and the quotes, and. And so the people on the team, they each have 10 years or better experience, in some PSA doing, purchasing, procurement, following up, deal reg, all of that, and they're just so excited to get started.
So I don't know if I ever told you my story, Rhea. So I started the MSP in the 90s, and I was working, 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this.
I am not.
You're pulling, cable in the morning, and next thing I know, I'm at the doctor, and I'm at 340 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was born. So I'm driving home, punching the steering wheel, whatever. It's not me anymore. It's this, family I have. So spend the next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds. Kept it off. You can't look at it as a finishing line. You got to, maintain that. And then when I tell the story, people always say, what's your secret? There's no secret. Discipline. That's how I kept it off.
Right.
Focus, motivation, willpower. How does discipline play a role in your life?
I love that question. But I have to say, didn't you just publish your book on the...
This summer it'll be out, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous, fabulous. I can't wait to see it.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to hear my story?
Please.
This is one thing that not a lot of people know about me. I was a pregnant, homeless teenager.
Whoa.
At 16, I was pregnant, and I had two options. I could get an abortion and stay at home, or I could choose to have the baby and get out. My daughter is now going to be 40 years old next year.
Wow.
And so, as I was walking out the door, my mother said to me, "You will be homeless and on welfare for the rest of your life. You will never amount to anything."
Wow.
And I turned around and I said, "Oh yeah? Watch me." And I walked out the door. And I think about that all the time. Like, so if people ask me, why do you work so hard? Why are you, because, when I was 16, I made a promise to myself that I would never let anybody get the better of me. And as silly as that sounds, I have this other, side story. I remember my brother-in-law, remember those Kool-Aid packets, the 25-cent Kool-Aid pack? Well, he put one in a glass, and he filled the glass with water because he thought it was a single serving pack. And no, that was going to be our drink for the next, day. And he ended up dumping it into the sink. And I remember I got so upset. And they said to me at the time, it's just Kool-Aid. It's just 25 cents. And I was having a full-on meltdown. Of course, I was pregnant. I was at 8 months pregnant, but full-on meltdown. And I said, I don't care how hard I work. I don't care how many hours I work. I am never, ever going to be this poor again. Wow. So those are some of my motivating stories.
So I have to ask what motivates you, but you just told me do you have the same relationship with your mother now?
My parents are in their 80s, and so that we have reconciled.
Good.
Oh, right. So the first, I'm going to say 10 years or so was difficult. And then as we started to reconnect, the next 5 years was still probably a little strained. But, they're 87 years old. They're, super harmless. And now they really count on me for so many things.
Right.
So, yeah, it's water under the bridge.
And how given that motivation, how do you measure success, Rayanne?
I measure success through my clients. When I see them at events like this, or I watch them go from 500,000 in revenue to over $1 million to 1.5 million. And I know that we were an integral part of that. Like, those are the things that motivate me and measure my success.
Awesome. I thank you so much for your time. I've known you for quite a while. I appreciate you coming in. Anybody who wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so? abcsolutionsfl.com. Don't forget the FL, that's for Florida. Otherwise, you're going to find some other ABC Solutions that's not me. So, yes, and please reach out anytime. And it was so great spending a few minutes with you. Thank you. And it's Rayanne, Rayannne, and your last name is quite Italian.
It is.
Buchianico.
Buchianico, spelled just like it sounds.
Buchianico. Thank you so much, Rayanne.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.